Rule number 2. Responsibility. Nothing in these rules shall exonerate any vessels, or the owner, master, or crew thereof, from the consequences of any neglect to comply with these rules. Exonerate – освободить. Neglect – последствия. Consequences – ответственность. Includes – означать. Unable – не может. Review – повторять. To cope with – справиться с. Available – имеющийся в наличии. Pay attention – обращать внимание. Wheelhouse – рулевая рубка. Make sure – удостоверяться. Be sure – быть уверенным. Frequently – часто. Motion – регулировать. Under – beneath – под. Be aware – помнить, иметь в виду, знать, быть в курсе. Lookout – вперед смотрящий. Without hesitation – без колебаний. Cause – причина, вызвать причину, причинять. Также часть этих слов нам понадобится в следующих правилах. Rule number 3. General definitions. The word vessel includes every description of watercraft, including non-displacement craft, weak craft, and seaplanes, used or capable of being used as a means of transportation on water. The term power-driven vessel means any vessel propelled by machinery. The term sailing vessel means any vessel under sail provided that propelling machinery, if fitted, is not being used. The term vessel engaged in fishing means any vessel fishing with nets, lines, trawls, or other fishing apparatus which restrict maneuverability, but does not include a vessel fishing with trolling lines or other fishing apparatus which don't restrict maneuverability. The word seaplane includes any aircraft designated to maneuver on water. The term vessel not under command means a vessel which through some exceptional circumstances is unable to maneuver as required by these rules and is therefore unable to keep out of the way of another vessel. The term vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver means a vessel which from the nature of her work is restricted in her ability to maneuver as required by these rules, and is therefore unable to keep out of the way of another vessel. The term vessel restricted in their ability to maneuver shall include but not limited to: First, a vessel engaged in laying, servicing, or picking up a navigational mark, submarine cable or pipeline. Second, a vessel engaged in dredging, surveying, or underwater operations. Third, a vessel engaged in replenishment or transferring persons, provisions, or cargo while underway. Fourth, a vessel engaged in the launching or recovery of aircraft. Fifth, a vessel engaged in mine clearance operations. Sixth, a vessel engaged in a towing operations, such as severely restricts the towing vessel and her tow in their ability to deviate from their course. The term vessel constrained by her draught means a power-driven vessel which, because of her draught in relation to the available depth and width of navigable water, is severely restricted in her ability to deviate from the course she is following. The word underway means that a vessel is not at anchor or made fast to the shore or aground. The words length or breadth of a vessel mean her length, overall, and greatest breadth. Vessels shall be deemed to be in sight of one another only when one can be observed visually from the other. The term restricted visibility means any condition in which visibility is restricted by fog, mist, falling snow, heavy rainstorms, sandstorms, or any other similar causes. The term wing in ground, wingcraft, means a multimodal craft which, in its main operational mode, flies in close proximity to the surface by utilizing surface effect action. Судно, занятое троллением. A vessel when engaged in trawling. Судно, занятое ловом рыбы. A vessel engaged in fishing. Судно, занятое буксировкой. Vessel when towing. Парусные суда на ходу и суда на веслах. Sailing vessels under way and vessels under oars. Судно, лишенное возможности управляться. Vessel not under command. Судно, ограниченное возможности управляться. Vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver. Судно, занятое дноуглубительными работами. A vessel engaged in dredging. Судно, занятое работами по устранению минной опасности. A vessel engaged in mine clearance. Судно, стесненное своей осадкой. Vessel constrained by the drought. Судно на ходу. Vessel underway. Судно на мели. Vessel aground. Судно на якоре. Anchored vessel. Rule number 5. Lookout. Every vessel shall at all times or always keep a proper lookout visually and by hearing, and by all available means appropriate in the prevailing circumstances, so that we can fully assess the situation and the risk of collision. Available means – все имеющиеся в наличии средства. Appropriate – подходящий, соответствующий. Prevailing circumstances – предполагающие обстоятельства. Fully assess – полностью оценить. Rule number 6. Save speed. Every vessel shall always proceed or sail, follow, at a safe speed, so that she can take proper or correct and effective action to avoid collision and be stopped within a distance appropriate to the prevailing circumstances and conditions. When we determine a safe speed, we shall take into account the following factors: the state of visibility, the traffic density including fishing vessels or any other vessels, the maneuverability of the vessel including stopping distance and turning ability in the prevailing conditions, at night, background light from shore lights and or own lights, the state of wind, sea and current, and navigation hazards or dangers, the drought in connection with depth of water. Additional vessels with operational radar shall take into account the following factors: the characteristic and limitations of the radar, any limitations depending on the radar range scale in use, the sea state, weather, and other sources of interference can affect radar detection or operation. Radar may not detect small vessels, ice, and other floating objects. The number, location, and movement of vessels detected by radar. We may assess the visibility More exactly, when we use radar to determine range of vessels or other objects in the vicinity. Within – в пределах пространства или времени. Proceed – следовать. Determine – определять, устанавливать. Take into account – принять во внимание, учесть. Turning ability – поворотливость. Limitations – ограничения. Depending on – в зависимости от. Effect – влиять, результат. Radar detection – радиолокационное обнаружение. Sources of interference – источники помех. In the vicinity – поблизости, в пределах видимости. Exact – точный. Exactly – точно. Floating – плавающий. Background light – фоновое освещение. Concern – касается, относительно, касательно. Rule number 7. Risk of collision. Every vessel shall use all available means appropriate to the prevailing circumstances and conditions to determine if there is a risk of collision. If we have any doubt, we shall consider such risk exists. We shall properly use operational radar equipment, including long-range scale to receive early warning of risk of collision and radar plotting, or equivalent systematic observation of detected objects. We must remember, the radar equipment may have scanty information. We shall consider the risk of collision exists if the compass bearing of an approaching vessel doesn't noticeably change. Such risk of collision may exist even when the bearing changes noticeably, when approaching a very large vessel or a tow, or when approaching a vessel at close distance. Doubt – сомнение. Exist – существовать. Consider – считать, полагать. Long range scanning – наблюдение на шкалах дальнего обзора. Scanty information – неполная, скудная информация. Noticeably change – заметно меняется. Approaching – приближающийся. Rule number 8. Action to avoid collision. We shall take any action to avoid collision in compliance with the rules of this part. Our correspond must be positive, in ample time, and correspond to good seamanship. Any alteration of course and/or speed to avoid collision shall be large, so that another vessel can understand our actions. We must avoid a succession of small alterations course and/or speed. If there is sufficiency room, alteration of course may be the most effective action to avoid a close quarters situation. Our actions to avoid collision must result in passing another vessel at a safe distance. If necessary, we must reduce our speed by engine telegraph. A vessel, which mustn't impede the safe passage of another vessel, shall leave enough sea room. Positive – уверенный. Close quarters situation – ситуация чрезмерного сближения. In ample time – своевременный. Cause – вызвать, явиться причиной. Good seamanship – хорошая морская практика. Impede – мешать, затруднять. Succession – последовательность. Rule number 9. Narrow channels. If we proceed along a narrow channel or fairway, we must keep the outer limit of the channel or fairway on our starboard side as close, as safe and possible. A vessel less than 20 meters long, a sailing vessel, a fishing vessel shall not impede the passage of any other vessel within a narrow channel or fairway. We shall not cross a channel or fairway if our crossing impedes the passage of a vessel within such channel or fairway. In case of doubts as to the intention of the crossing vessel, it's necessary to use short and rapid blasts on the whistle. Such signal may be supplemented by a light signal of 5 short and rapid flashes, in compliance with Rule 34. When overtaking takes place, the vessel intending to overtake shall give sound signals. Starboard side, 2 prolonged blasts and 1 short blast. Port side, 2 prolonged blasts and 2 short blasts, in compliance with Rule 34C. The vessel to be overtaken shall give the signal on her whistle: 1 prolonged, 1 short, 1 prolonged and 1 short blast. It means this vessel agrees for overtaking and takes steps to permit safe passing. If we approach a bend or an area of a narrow channel where the vessel may not be seen because of obstruction, we shall navigate within caution. We shall sound 1 prolonged blasts, in compliance with Rule 34. We shall avoid anchoring in a narrow channel. Keep to the outer limit. Держаться внешней границы. The vessel intending to overtake. Судно, намеревающееся провести обгон. The vessel to be overtaken. Обгоняемое судно. Takes steps. Предпринять действия, меры. To permit safe passing. Позволить безопасный проход. To approach the bend. Приближаться к изгибу. Rule number 10. Traffic separation schemes. Rule number 10 applies to TSS. When we use a TSS, we must proceed in the appropriate traffic lane in the general direction of traffic separation line. Keep clear of traffic flow. When we join, enter, or leave a traffic lane from either side, we shall do it at the smallest angle to the general direction of traffic flow, but it is recommended to join or leave a traffic lane at the termination of the lane. We shall avoid crossing traffic lanes, but when we have to do it, shall cross at right angles the general direction of traffic flow. It is not recommended to use inshore traffic 1, when a vessel can safely use the TSS, but the vessel of less than 20 meters long, sailing vessels, and vessels engaged in fishing may use inshore traffic zone. We can use an inshore traffic zone when we enter or leave a port, proceed to any installation, pilot station, or any other place without this zone, and also to avoid immediate danger. It is not recommended to use TSS without necessary, except emergency situation to avoid immediate danger, to engage in fishing within a separation zone. We must navigate with caution near the termination of TSS. We must avoid anchoring in, near TSS. When we don't use TSS, we must keep clear of it as far as possible. A fishing or sailing vessel and a vessel less than 20 meters long shall not impede the safe passage of a vessel following a traffic lane. Vessel restricted in the ability to maneuver when they operate for the maintenance of safety of navigation or do cable works within TSS, don't to comply with this rule. Traffic flow. Транспортный поток. Immediate danger. Непосредственная опасность. Caution. Осторожность. Impede. Препятствовать, мешать, затруднять. Maintains. To maintain. Поддержание. Поддерживать. Rule number 13. Overtaking. If our vessel overtaking another vessel, we shall do it at a safe distance from this vessel. When our vessel is approaching another vessel from a direction more than 22.5 degrees above her beam, in this situation our vessel is overtaking vessel. At night we can see only the stern light, but no side lights of the overtaking vessel. If we are not sure that we are overtaking vessel, we must consider that we are act accordingly. When overtaking, we must keep clear the overtaking vessel. Accordingly. Соответствовать. Соответствующим образом. Above beam. Позади траверза. Rule number 14. Head-on situation. When two vessels are meeting on reciprocal or nearly reciprocal courses with risk of collision, each vessel shall alter the course to starboard, so that each vessel shall pass off the port side of the other. Head-on situation exists when a vessel sees the other vessel ahead or nearly ahead. At night, she can see the masthead lights of the other vessel in a line or nearly in a line, and or both side lights. If we are not sure about head-on situation, we must consider that such situation exists and act accordingly. Consider. Считать. Reciprocal courses. Противоположные курсы. In a line. В створе. Exist. Существовать. Rule number 15. Crossing situation. When two are crossing with risk of collision, the vessel, which has the other on her starboard side, shall give way and avoid crossing ahead of the other vessel. Rule number 16. Action by give way vessel. If our vessel must give way to another vessel, we must take early and decisive action to keep well clear. Decisive action. Решительное действие. To keep well clear. Безопасно разойтись. Rule number 17. Action by stand-on vessel. If our vessel is a stand-on vessel, we must keep our course and speed. But if we understand that the vessel which must give way to our vessel is not taking appropriate action, we may take avoiding action by maneuver. When the stand-on vessel finds herself very close, she shall take avoiding actions. In a crossing situation, when we take actions to avoid collision with another vessel, we must not alter course to port, if the vessel is on our port side. Anyway, the giveaway vessel must comply with the rule and keep out of the way. Stand-on vessel. Судно, которому уступают дорогу. Keep out of the way. Уступить дорогу, уйти с пути. Rule number 18. Responsibilities between vessels. Except special requirements of Rule 9, 10, 13. A power-driven vessel underway shall keep out of the way of a vessel not under command, a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver, a vessel engaged in fishing, a sailing vessel. A sailing vessel underway shall keep out of the way of a vessel not under command, a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver, a vessel engaged in fishing. A vessel engaged in fishing when underway shall, so far as possible, keep out of the way of a vessel not under command, a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver. Any vessel shall not impede the safe passage of a vessel constrained by her draught, excluding a vessel not under command or a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver. A vessel seaplane and weak craft shall keep clear of all vessels and shall not impede their passage. Rule number 19. Conduct of vessels in restricted visibility. This rule applies to vessels which don't see one another when navigating in or near an area of restricted visibility. Every vessel shall proceed at a safe speed, adapted to the prevailing circumstances and conditions of restricted visibility, and the vessel engines must be ready for immediate maneuver. When we detect another vessel only by radar, we must determine if a close quarter situation is developing and or risk of collision exists. If so, we must take avoiding actions in ample time. If such action including alteration of course, we shall avoid the following: an alteration of course to port for a vessel forward of the beam, an alteration of course towards a vessel abeam or abaft the beam. When there is no risk of collision, when we hear forward of our beam the fog signal of another vessel, or when we can't avoid a close quarter situation with another vessel forward of our beam, we must reduce our speed to the minimum to keep our vessel on the course. If necessary, we must take all our way and navigate with caution until danger is over.